Hello and welcome to Work to Game. My name is Brian, and in this guide we're going to be breaking down the samurai. So we're going to be going over our skills and our layout and how we set this up for a controller. If after this guide you still have questions and you really want to know more, let me recommend an amazing guide to Desperus Final Fantasy XIV. I'll include a link in the description below. Go check out this guide. They do a really good job over there. I've just discovered their channel, and honestly, I'm really impressed. So go check their guide out, give them some love. And also, if you're looking for more in-depth controller tips and tricks, how I set up my HUD, all of my configuration settings, we have that in the Ultimate Controller Guide. We even have a playlist for all our controller guides. Those will be the top links in the description of this video if you still need more information when playing Final Fantasy XIV with a controller. And yeah, that's where we're going to go. So let's go ahead and dive in. Let's have some fun. This job truly is just effing amazing, guys. Honestly, I don't know why we don't have a I'm wondering why we don't have samurais literally everywhere after playing this job. Truly in love. But let me go ahead and break it down, teach you all what you need to know, and let's have some fun. So samurai is a blade master, and we're going to do this guide a little bit differently. Typically with a controller guide, we go through all the ins and outs, but we've done that really with the ultimate guide, and I don't want to rehash it if you're really looking for the 101 for samurai. So we're blending these two guides together into one powerful guide. Let me know if you like this, and we can go and refresh our older guides, and as we roll out new controller guides, we'll do that as well. So just let me know in the comments below, hit that like button and sub if you haven't joined the workforce. We'd love to have you around. But let's go ahead and talk kind of about building kind of the rotation and understanding the skills. As far as my controller goes, you obviously have your double cross hotbar setup left and right, and then I have my hotbar 3 here, which I use to tell me about cooldowns. We'll go over hotbar 3 here last. I'm going to start kind of with your basic building of the rotation of your Sin and your Kenki gauge. Your Sin being the Frost, Moon, and Flower, and then your Kenki gauge as this builds up for you to be able to execute more of these awesome moves like Shinten. Also, apologies for my broken Japanese. I've I've done my best. But I'm probably going to get a D or a C ranking. Anyway, we'll just leave it at that. I do appreciate you hanging out. So Hakaze. This is going to be kind of really where your single target rotation begins, with some rare exceptions, and we're going to talk about obviously Makayo Sentu, because Jinpu and Shifu are two powerful buffs that we want to dive in. But anyway, this is just going to be a potency with an attack of 200, and it's going to increase your Kenki gauge by 5. It is your pretty basic starter, but this is going to allow you to combo into two different skills here. Shifu. What's really important about this is obviously a combo potency goes to 320 based off of Hakaze, but you're going to see it reduces your weapon skill recast time and your recast time and spellcast time and recast time. Basically, it makes you faster by 13%, even your auto attack delay. This is a speed boost, and it's going to last 40 seconds, also increasing your Kenki gauge by 5. Now, Jinpu, the other path in which you can go, is going to increase your damage dealt by 13%.
Oh, hell yeah.
So those are two very important buffs, also lasting 40 seconds here. So if you kind of think about it in that mindset of that 40-second rotation, Shisu here is 55 seconds. So there's a lot of that built around that 40 seconds to a minute for this job. Ikuhoshin is a Kenki gauge filler with a 60-second recast. So this is a great filler in between, because this is off the global cooldown, in between your Shifu and your Jinpu. In that regards, to keep building this up so you can obviously execute a lot of off the global cooldown abilities and weave them in as you build up your Flower, your Moon, and your Frost, or your Ice here, your Snow. However, let's go ahead and break down my placement of this, and this is why I've got this placed specifically. Yukaze, that's your a combo potence of 360. It's going to come off of Hakaze, so this is going to get you your Frost Sin here. Then Hakaze to Jinpu to Gecko is going to get your Moon Sin in this regards. So you can see here for Gecko, it's a potency of 480, obviously building up that combo, increases Kenki gauge by 5. If you're from the rear, and if you're also doing the combo bonus itself, you're going to get another 5. So you want to pay attention to your placement, your positional here with Gecko for that regards. And so that's going to get you your Moon, and then your Hakaze, Shifu, and then Kasha combo, 480 as well. So you can see here, those kind of hit the same as, but obviously Yukaze doesn't hit as hard. But check it out. It's got a flank, so the side, left or right side, and you can kind of pay attention to where the circle is around the placement of the enemy. So that's going to be important to you. We'll cover that here in a little bit more detail in a minute. But again, if your flank combo bonuses increases Kenki gauge by 5, and your combo bonus Kenki gauge by 5 and grants Ka. This is going to obviously let you trick out off Ijatsu, which essentially gives you, if you have one Sen, any of them, it doesn't matter. You can use Higabana, otherwise you can use Tenken Goken or Midgar Setsukaka. Oh god, I'm so sorry. So with that, that's kind of how you kind of build out your rotation. We're going to go over the details of what those skills are here in just a minute more. Combo modifiers and how, again, I have that placed. You can kind of see here within the wheelhouse on the right hand side. That is where I'm going to spend a lot of my time. I'm going to spend a lot of my attacking time and focus here on the right side, building up these combos, going in this direction, and just filling that up so I can be able to execute these powerful moves. At level 76, you get this amazing Tusame Geshe, which is essentially a combo off of Ijatsu. This is going to allow you to execute whatever was previously executed immediately right away. So this is where you can double stack your most powerful hits, which really is important. I'll go over the details of those skills here just in a second more. Also up here I've got Sensei, which also shares a recast timer with Gurren, so just keep that in mind. I have those placed over here because this is an AoE and this is single target. For the most part, single target, for the most part AoE, not one-to-one, but just keep that in mind as you kind of build out your skills. Then you have Akashi Goten. This is going to give you 50 Kenki gauge. We already covered Shisutsu. Then you have Shoha, which is going to deliver an attack with a potency of 400. This can only be executed after accumulating 3 stacks of meditation. Keep that in mind. So as you do these different rotations, you'll see various things actually give you meditation, or you can just execute meditation on your own. This is a big change that came with a recent patch to Final Fantasy XIV. So it allows you to build up meditation stacks, which then allows you to do certain moves, and certain combos are going to feed you those meditation stacks as well. So if you're kind of waiting for something to happen in a fight and you can't typically do any attack, Meditate's going to be a great skill for you there. Now on the left hand side, I have my AoE rotation up here, and I also have a combo up here with Gurren. And so you can kind of see how that kind of mirrors for the most part of things that are happening. I also have my double combo with Tusame right here as well, and that is namely if I, obviously as I combo, I'm able to do the Tenka Goken, which allows me to kind of keep and stick on this side of the wheelhouse. So keep in mind I've got Fuga, and then I've got Mengetsu. So this is a combo potency or a combo action from Fuga. It's a potency of 160 for the combo itself, otherwise it's 100. Now what's really important to note for anybody out there doing AoE rotations, this is going to extend your Genpu by 15 seconds to a maximum of 40 seconds. And for Oka, this is going to extend your Shifu buff by 15 seconds up to a maximum of 40 seconds. And it's going to continue. Both of these are going to increase your combo gauge by 10, and they're going to give you that moon and that flower accordingly so you can execute your Tenka Goken there. So as that's happening, I also have my current here, which is going to deliver a potency of 150 to all nearby enemies, but it's going to cost me 25 of my Kenki gauge. You can see kind of a parallel here to Shinten here, which is a 320 attack with a Kenki gauge cost of 25. Both of these are off the global cooldown, so as this fills up, you can execute more attacks, especially when an AoE is present. You can hit a lot of enemies and really kind of go to town with that. What's important again with Oka and with Mengetsu here, it's important to note that they extend Jinpu and Shifu buffs. They do not apply the Jinpu and Shifu buffs, they extend them rather than that. So what you need to take away here is that what's really good is going into Shinsu, putting these guys on so you have access to them, and then as you go, you can continue to combo off of that or just run this within that. So you're going to keep that speed buff and you're going to keep that damage buff accordingly, which is going to make you very effective from an AoE perspective. Beyond our attacks, though, we have Third Eye. This is going to reduce the amount of damage taken by the next attack by 10%. This is also going to grant an additional effect of Eyes Open if you get hit, and that's going to allow you to do things like Merciful Eyes and other abilities, and we'll cover those abilities here in more detail. Then over here we've got Sengan. This is going to deliver an attack with a potency of 220. Now your Kenki gauge cost is going to be 15, and this can actually only be executed while under the effect of Eyes Open. So this is going to share a recast timer with Merciful Eyes. So you can do an attack right away, or you can use Merciful Eyes, which is an instantly restores your own HP with a cure potency of 200. And so these things are sharing their recast timer, and I'll show you where I've got that placed on my hotbar here shortly. Then I have Hakuri, and this is going to convert Sensu, Gensu, and Ka into Kenki gauge. So if you fill this up, you can turn that into your Kenki gauge, which allows you to do those off the global cooldown abilities. Now each Sen is only going to be converted into 10 Kenki. So if you have 3 of those, that's going to be 30 to your Kenki gauge, which ends up being fairly important. And then over here, I've got True North, which nullifies all actions and directional requirements. This is important, and that's going to relay with Kasha and Gecko accordingly. So pay attention to that. You get 2 charges, and this is going to be helpful if for some reason you can't get to the side of the boss and more. The nice thing about this is that it rolls out a kind of a fairly easy cooldown time at 45 seconds. So with 2 charges, you should always pretty much have 1 available at any given time for you to kind of play around with. Now back on the right hand side, we have Cotton. This is going to increase your weapon skills or your next weapon skill that you fire off by 50%, and it's going to cost 20. So this is really important because this is going to pair wonderfully with Ijatsu as well. But pay attention because you have abilities that you might think that it's going to boost, and it's not going to boost. It's going to boost anything that's marked with a weapon skill. So whenever you see that weapon skill, it's going to basically increase its potency by 50%, which is fantastic. And it's actually not that expensive. You can actually double this up, especially as you get that gauge filled up, be able to double this up here and really kind of pump out the hurt. Now over here on the left hand side, we've got Feint. This is going to lower the target's strength and dexterity by 10%, and it's going to last 10 seconds. This is a cross roll ability. You'll have access to this at level 22. Gurren, again, this is going to deliver an attack with a potency of 850 to all enemies in a straight line before you. This is going to cost you 50, and it shares that combo. It shares the timer with Sensei, so pay attention here. Now, this is a single target. This is a multi-target, so do some math when you want to use it. Obviously, single target here, boss right here. If you've got a bunch of adds, this is going to add up really quickly and act as a multiplier because it does not have any damage fall off. That's really important because you see certain AoE abilities in the game, they do kind of have a damage fall off. This does not. So this is an 850 times however many enemies. So once you have 2 enemies or more, you're easily out DPSing this. This is a bet, this is the lower potency, but for 1 enemy, you want to make sure you use this one because it is your hardest hitting ability at a 1100 potency in that regards. Again, using that 50, which is incredible. You can see here I have a Gashoten here just as well because it's just easy to be able to, if I'm over here on the left hand side, to pop up and use that ability and then move back down into my rotation. And then I have, again, Sengen here, Merciful Eyes for curing if I need to. Arm's Length. This is going to create a barrier, basically stopping you from being knocked back. It does have a 20% slow applied if it's hit. So if they hit you, you can actually apply a slow effect that could last 15 seconds to that. So it's important. Pay attention. This could save your life. This will save your life, depending on what content you're running and if you have the ability to get knocked off. And we already covered meditation there as well. So that is essentially my left, right, and top cross-hop bar with the skills that I have placed. Let's go ahead and jump into my second, or my expanded cross-hop bar, which I've got listed here on number 2. And again, check out my Ultimate Controller Guide to dive into how this is all configured. Here I have in and out, and it's a macro. I'm going to show that to you. Actually, I'll show it to you right now because it just makes sense to do so. In and out with Yaten and Goken. Now it's placed this way because it uses fail through, meaning if it can't use Yaten, it's going to automatically use Goten. Yaten is your backstep. So if you're close enough, it will backstep. However, if you're not, it will rush you forward. Feel free not to use this if you don't want to. You can easily just have them individually skilled out here as well. But this allows me to press 1 button to get the heck out of dodge, press it to jump back into the fray really easily. And I do control Yaten here, so that way I can visually see if it is going to, if it's going to use Yaten or not. I'll leave it up to you. Over here, I've got leg sweep. This is going to stun the target for 3 seconds. This is cross roll, and at level 10. What's important though, you should know from a placement perspective, is put the skill in the same spot every time. If it's going to be a stun and you're going to play more than one job with that same effect, put the effect in the same spot so that way you don't get confused. It ends up being very easy to use. Then you have Empai. This is going to be your ranged attack. It's going to have a potency of 100, and your enhanced Empai bonus here, it would actually increase it to 320 with an additional effect that's going to add your Kenki gauge of 10. So this is great for whenever you're ranged and you can't hit the target, and you can kind of go from there and attack. Again, we have Merciful Eyes for easy access. Bloodbath. This is going to convert a portion of your physical damage dealt into HP. That's going to last 20 seconds. This is great for recovery, but you look at that recast time set at 90 seconds. Then I have Second Wind. This is going to instantly restore your own HP, and it's got a cure potency pretty large here at 500. But check out that recast time. It's set at 2 minutes. This is kind of that oh no moment, so just kind of play around with that, and we go from there. Then I have Third Eye, which again is that defensive buff that I can easily use to set and kind of like when things are going to hit me, it's going to give me that damage buff. It's going to give the ability to use Merciful Eyes. That's why I have it here, and that's why I use it in that regards. But again, it's also important to have it up here on my third heart bar, just so I can easily access it and see it from that perspective. So we covered those hotbars up top. This is for controller players. This isn't anything I'm ever clicking on. This is just to help communicate me and remind me when certain things need to be done. Like you can see Bloodbath and Second Wind. Those are hidden by default, so I don't really see those. I've got Third Eye and Merciful Eyes up, so I can try to remind myself to use that so I don't get hit, or at least I can reduce some incoming damage. And then I have Yaten, so I know if I can back out real quickly. Now it's at this time we need to talk about your Sen, because you have 3 different optional abilities here. So Higabana is going to deliver an attack with a potency of 250. Now the additional effect is going to apply a damage over time effect of a potency of 40, and that's going to last for 1 minute. This 1 minute is amazing because you can put this on. Then if you think about what I was saying earlier, that 40 seconds to a minute job kind of rotation, this is something that you can easily refresh, but you don't have to sit here and be like worried about it falling off all the time. This also is going to grant a stack of meditation and up to a maximum of 3 stacks. You can't assign it because this is going to be when you have 1 Sin, you can do Higabana. Now, if you decide and you want to apply it again, you can do your Kankashi Higabana, which is going to increase the potency of the attack to 375. It's going to have a damage over time effect of 60, so a 20-point boost. It's also going to last a minute. It's going to grant that stack of meditation, so if you're like 0 stacks, you've now got 2 if you back-to-back it. This also cannot be stacked with Higabana, so this is going to override Higabana itself, but you could apply it to another target. Then you have Tenka Goken. This is going to deliver an attack with a potency of 360 to all enemies in a cone before you. The additional effect here again is it's going to grant you a stack of meditation upon use up to a maximum of 3. You can then enhance this to deliver an attack with a potency of 540 to all enemies in a cone before you, granting again that additional meditation stack. This is going to again trigger all your cooldowns and more, so that you would just kind of double up on that if necessary. And I love that about the samurai. Then you have Midgar Setsugaka, and I'm sorry, I'm probably butchering the name there. This is this is the fun job to try to pronounce. This is going to be that big one-hit power weapon skill of a potency of 800. Now no longer your most potent, but it's still pretty impressive. So that's going to deliver that potency. You got 3 Sin for that. So from a 1, 2, and then a 3. And then if you double it up, you get that potency of 1200. 1200. That is a huge boost, again granting that stack of meditation. So if you think about it, within easily one rotation of like 2.33 seconds for the cast time. So if you think about it, with a cast of 1.3 seconds, you can easily pop that off. Now, what's interesting about this is got a recast of 30 seconds. What's also important to know, again, on that minute job here, it's got a minute recast before you can execute any of these again. So even if you can get your send back up real quickly, you will be gated by that 60 seconds. So pay attention to what's going on in the game. Pay attention to what the boss is doing, especially you would hate to do that if they're immune to the attack. So just pay attention to that. The other thing here is when, again, we talk about Cotton and we talk about the weapon skills, these are weapon skills. The base ones are weapon skills. The advanced ones are abilities. So that is not going to enhance this. So you can't add another 50% boost to Setsugaka here. You can add it to the base level. So again, you could take that potency of 50% and apply it to that, thus getting it that 1200. So you could do 2400 potency, like within like one single weapon skill rotation. It's beautiful. This is Samurai literally is the coolest job out there, I think, on the planet. That's why I'm really surprised that we don't see samurais just everywhere, and everybody's like, well, I guess we're all samurais now. Now, I really enjoyed playing this job. I really enjoyed both leveling it, but also working with it at a higher level. It is truly the black mage of melee. It does feel like a caster in some respect. It has a lot of mobility, as you can see with in and out. It has a lot of power that it brings to it. And the debate usually comes into play that Samurai doesn't offer a lot of utility. And my counter argument to that is DPS is utility. If you're able to melt things down, that ends up being a utility function. That's something you bring to the party exclusively as a part of that. You might not be raising everybody else's damage, but you're definitely helping out your healers and your tanks by making sure that things die faster and hopefully getting in more fun runs and also more ability to farm things out. Anyway guys, if I missed anything or if you have any additional questions, let me know in the comments below. Also again, check out Desperat's Final Fantasy XIV for their guide. I thought they did a really good job breaking down rotations and that type of information. If you liked the blending of what I've done, let me know. If you didn't, if you want to see a dedicated controller guide complete, like how, breaking down all the setup and configuration along with that of the job, or, just let me know. I'm very curious and love your feedback with anything and everything as it relates to Final Fantasy XIV and other games. So anyway, for Work to Game, my name's Brian. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have an incredible day. Hope to see you in my next video, but until then, take care.